Good morning, students, and welcome to you all in today's lecture. We are going to continue with the chapter The Spectator Club by Richard Steele. Next to Sir Andrew, in the club room sits Captain Sentry. He says that next character I'm going to discuss is a member of the club, and the name is Captain Sentry. A gentleman of great courage, good understanding, but invincible modesty. He is a gentleman of great courage. He is a very brave person. Good understanding he is having. But one thing is there, and that is modesty, that is the humbleness, invincible, that cannot be won. He is one of those that deserve very well, but are very awkward at putting their talents within the observations of such as should take notice of them. He is that type of character. He is one of those, quality wise, who deserve very well. But unfortunately, they are incompetent to show their talents in front of the officers, in front of the authorities who should notice the quality of the person. He was some years a captain and behaved himself with great gallantry in several engagements and at several sieges. He was for some time, for some years, an army captain, and very gallantly, very bravely, he took part in several battles, several sieges. But having a small estate of his own and being next here to Sir Roger, he has quitted a way of life in which no man can range suitably to his merit who is not something of a courtier as well as a soldier. He served in the army for some years, but the reason that he was having his own small estate, some property, some land, and being next here to Sir Roger, and he was the successor of Sir Roger, and he quitted that way of life, quitted, abandoned, resigned, left the army job. Further says, a way of life in which no man can rise suitably to his merit. According to him, as per qualities, as per merit, you cannot get promoted, you cannot rise. And he says, only a person can rise in this field who is not something of a courtier as well as a soldier, who is having both the qualities of a soldier and qualities of an attendant, a flattering sort of person, a buttering sort of person. Only such man can be upgraded in this field according to Captain Sentry. I have heard him often lament that in a profession where merit is placed in so conspicuous a view, impudence should get the better modesty. Writer says that I have heard him so many times lamenting, expressing his grief. He generally said that in a profession, in army services, where merit is placed in so conspicuous a view, where merit should be considered every time, impudence should get the better of modesty. The shamelessness, the impudence, it gets more than a humble people, a modest people. When he had talked to this purpose, I never heard him make a sore expression. Whenever he talked about this particular field, author says that I have never noticed that his expressions were bitter one, but frankly confess that he left the world because he was not fit for it. He accuses himself, though the fault was that of the system, but he says that I left that job because I was not fit for that. A strict honesty and an even regular behavior are in themselves obstacles to him that must press through toward who endeavor at the same end with himself in the favor of the command. He says that a strict honesty, to be very much modest, and a even a regular behavior, behaving same time, are in themselves obstacles. These two things are in themselves hindrances, obstacles to him, because these were the two qualities and they barred his progress. That must press through crowds. There are a number of people who are flatter ones, and if you want to get promotion, if want you to be noticed by the officers, you are to press them. A number of people who endeavor at the same end with himself. At the same time, they are also trying to have the attention of the commander, to have the attention of the authority, the favor of the authority. But he says that two things, a strict honesty and a regular behavior, they blocked my way. He will, however, in his way of talk, excuse generals for not disposing according to men's desert. Whenever he discusses, whenever he talks, he just do not blame the officers. He excuses the generals, he excuses the commanders. He says that if they failed in disposing, if they failed in behaving according to man's quality, according to man's desert, or inquiring into it, for because he says that great man who has a mind to help me has as many to break through to come at me. Now they may be having an intention to favor me. They may be having a mind to help me, but at the same time, a number of other people are there, and this was the problem, or this may have been the problem, might have been the problem that the generals could not surpass, could not go through. The great man who has a mind to help me has as many to break through to come at me as I have to come at him. As it is difficult for me to prove myself in front of the commander, in front of the officers, in front of the generals. At the same time, the authorities might be having problems because a number of people are there who are flatterers, who are buttering persons, and the authority even they wanted to do but could not help me. Therefore, therefore, he will conclude that the man who would make a figure, especially in a military way, must get over all false modesty. Therefore, finally, he concludes if any person who wants to make his identity, who wants to make his figure, especially in the field of military, he must win, he must get over all false modesty. Modesty should not be there in a person who wants to be popular, who wants to achieve some reputation in the field of military. Especially military way must get over all false modesty and assist his patron against the importunity of other pretenders. Not only this, that person should also have the quality. That person should assist his patrons, his generals, his commanders, that people who are coming there, he should complain about their solicitation that they are false accusers by a proper assurance of his own vindication, by properly defending himself. It is required by the person that person should tell the authorities that these people are not having merits, but by other ways, following other ways, they want to be upgraded. He says that it is a civil cowardice to be backward in asserting what you ought to expect, as it is a military fear to be slow in attacking when it is your duty. At the same time, he says it is a civil timidity, it is a civil cowardice. If you are backward in asserting, in stating your statements, in stating your position firmly, what do you expect from the authorities? If you cannot explain your position properly, it is a civil cowardice. As it is a military fear to be slow in attacking when it is your duty. Suppose there is a war and it is your duty to attack and you do not. It is a military fear. In this likewise manner, it is a civil fear, it is a civil cowardice that if you cannot state your position firmly, you cannot achieve what you deserve or what you want. With this candor does the gentleman speak of himself and others. With this very frankness, this gentleman generally speaks about himself and about other people. The same frankness runs through all his conversation. If the topic is different, the same type of conversation is there. The same type of frankness is there in the conversation of this man. The military part of his life has furnished him with many adventures. As long as he was in the army, he experienced many brave activities, many brave actions. in the relation of which he is very agreeable to the company. And because of this, the people of the company, the people of the club, whereas they are concerned, this man was very much acceptable. For because he is never overbearing, he is never proudy, he is never haughty. Though accustomed to command men in the utmost degree below him, nor ever to obscure from a habit of obeying men highly above him. He was having this particular feature also, that he could command people who are junior to him. And he was not so obsequious, he was not so flatterer, he was not having the habit to obey his seniors every time, whether the order was right or whether the order was wrong. That's all about today's lecture. Mark it here. Thank you very much.